This is the story about the mine town of Central City, Colorado. This old town is about 40 miles west of Denver, high in the mountains, at an elevation of 8,700 feet. It was back in 1859 that prospector John Gregory discovered gold, in an area that later became known as Gregory's Gulch. This discovery would eventually go down in history as being one of the largest discoveries in Colorado, and this area the future mines were located would become known as the richest square mile on Earth. Central City itself became into being from the amalgamation of a couple of mine camps close by, those being Black Hawk and Nevadaville. Of course, it was the alluvial gold that was mined at first. The creeks in the area contained untold amounts of easy-picking gold, and almost anyone could become rich overnight. Other gold deposits were found in surrounding gulches, and other mining camps got started, including Springfield, Missouri City, Dogtown, Eureka, Russell Gulch, Lake Gulch, and Enterprise City. By the end of summer that year, there is said to have been over 10,000 people living in and around Gregory Gulch. By the end of that first year, it is said that between $1.5 to $2 million worth of gold had been mined. Gold at that time was just $16 an ounce. This was a town that grew fast. The first newspaper in town, the Rocky Mountain Gold Reporter, is reported as saying this about Central City. Although not 3 months old, it contains already some 300 buildings substantially erected, with a population of between 2,800 and 3,000, nearly all of whom are miners. Yet the arts and trades are well represented. We have about 25 stores, 2 jewelry shops, 3 tailor shops, blacksmiths, shoemakers, painters, etc. However, like most gold camps in history, it was no different here, and very quickly the gold ran out, and a lot of miners packed up and moved on, leaving only a few thousand people. There were those who decided to hang on and try their hand at hard rock mining. However, that proved difficult at first because of the complex geology of the ground. The only real way to get the gold out of the hard rock veins was by smelting, and at the time there was no smelters in the area. The only way to get smelters into the area was much needed capital investment. However, the country was in the midst of the Civil War, and so money was being spent on other things in other parts of the country. Once the Civil War ended, money started to flow into the area, and new mines and mills were getting started. In 1865, Nathaniel Hill, who was a professor, began studying the problems of extracting gold from this complex type of ore. Hill came up with a smelting process that got rid of the impurities in the ores and was able to separate out the precious metals. In 1867, Hill started the Boston and Colorado Smelting Company in Black Hawk, and mines began shipping ore to the smelter for processing. This smelter then allowed the expansion of other mines as well as the start of new mines. All this activity was seen as an opportunity, and soon thousands of new people were moving into the area. In 1872, the Colorado Central Railroad was built from Golden to Black Hawk. This narrow gauge line was later extended to Central City in 1878. Also in 1872, Central City saw the construction of the Teller House Hotel. This hotel was said to be the finest hotel west of the Mississippi River. Then in 1873, President Ulysses Grant came to visit his friend Henry Teller and his new hotel. Henry became the first senator from Colorado. It was at this same time that Congress was debating whether gold or silver should back the dollar. Speaking of visitors, Alexis, the Grand Duke of Russia, even visited this town. Then in January 1873, a fire destroyed 16 buildings in the town. This prompted a resolution that all new buildings in the town had to be built with stone or brick and prohibited all wooden buildings. However, the following year, on May 21, 1874, another fire started and destroyed about 150 buildings in the downtown area. Because this was a boom town and the money was flowing, it didn't take long for rebuilding to get underway. In fact, The first brick building was completed in just 9 days after the fire. If fires weren't bad enough, the town also suffered from floods. Being located in a gulch, major flooding hit the town in 1893 and another in 1895. And if mining wasn't enough of a hazardous job, the flood of 1895 took the lives of 14 miners who drowned in a couple of the mines. In 1878, the town saw the opening of its very own opera house. However, it would be only a few short years after that Central City would start to go into decline. From 1880 to 1900, the town of Central City was noted as being a good mining town. Yes, there was still commerce and jobs, but as the mines went deeper, the grades began to peter out. Also at this same time, Leadville was becoming a new gold camp and was noted as being 5 times richer. Merchants and miners wanting to get a jump on the next big strike started packing up and moving to this new gold rush town, and Central City saw its population fall from around 3,000 to just a few hundred. There was sort of a mini boom in the 1930s again, when gold prices went from $20 to $35 an ounce, but that was also short-lived, even with cheap labor from Depression-era workers. Then came the Second World War, and all non-essential mining, which included gold, was shut down, and this put a halt to the mining in the district, and the town never really recovered from that. Old records show that Gilpin County had a steady output of gold from 1859 through 1908, and peak production being recorded in 1871. Of the total gold production in the county of Gilpin, the Central City District is credited with 95 to 99% of the $84 million worth of gold mined. Total gold production through to 1959 was about 4.2 million ounces. You can still go to the old town of Central City today. The town has a population of around 750 residents and is mostly a tourist town. In 1991, the town started to open a few casinos as a way to draw in more tourists. However, the casinos in Black Hawk seem to draw in more of the gamblers, and Central City is once again looking at ways to reinvent itself. I hope you enjoyed this short story about the old mine town of Central City. Please like, share, and subscribe so we can continue to bring you more old, lost mine stories.